Welcome to the Sabo Ross Experiment. We have liftoff. Woohoo!
For this week, did you want to go first? You said you had something?
Yeah,
So you go first.
we were together last time. We were talking about robotics.
Robotics. We talked about AI before.
I think I started to talk about drones.
Yes.
Sure.
We did. We got the drones, both in the military sense and the guy that's at Rickenbacker.
So, with all the turmoil that's going on, the Russia-Ukraine war, which has become a major drone war, but we're talking $500 drones.
Yeah, it's amazing what the Ukrainians have taken consumer drones
Yes.
and found ways to use them to find enemy positions and also to release a minor payload that can do real damage. So it's really a great underdog story of what they were able to do.
It is, but the newest thing, now I wasn't going to get too much into this, but they have a drone now that is really just to kill the other drone from Russia. So now they're not attacking. I mean, they're obviously attacking humans, but now they have drones just to fight drones. So the soldiers are they're just watching while there's an air show of drone fighting drone.
It's a video game with real life consequences
Yes.
at this point.
And where that took me was I started to I don't know if I had mentioned on one of the episodes where China launched a laser and they were able to strike the moon. Did that ring a bell at all?
No, I've never heard that.
Yes. So China has been successful in a laser of I don't know what power, but from ground base able to do something to the moon. Whether there was any destruction, anything, I don't know, right? But what I learned thinking about lasers, so I wanted to talk about lasers because I was like, this is really interesting. I heard yesterday there was a company that was on air talking about their products, an American company who makes military or commercial drones, but at low price points. So we're not talking the Admirals of these massive killer
Unmanned aerial vehicles.
Yes. We're just talking little drones. But what they've done is they've put lasers on them. Killer lasers. So they have developed a drone that is going to and a lot of this, some of this goes to the Army, some of this goes to the Air Force. They can launch a drone that has its own laser that can go up and attack the other drones with a laser and destroy them.
And slice them up.
Yes. Or at least disable them. So, so that's cool. Then what I found out is the U.S. has been working on ground lasers for 4 or 5 years. And I had found, and I don't have the name here. I wish I did. I had it. But the Navy just announced yesterday they're working on a 400 kilowatt laser. So 400 kilowatt, that's 400,000 power in the laser. So that can chop, chop, chop. And this technology is they're working with several 50 kilowatt lasers all in one unit working together to create one beam to increase the power. So now they say on these Navy ships, the idea is you've got Tomahawks, right? Things to... But now they also are going to add laser. They already have it on a certain extent, but nothing this big that can take out a whole swarm of drones at one time.
Or missiles.
And missiles. And the biggest thing that other countries are using, which the United States is behind on, is supersonic missiles. They just get there so quick. You don't see it. Iran actually had some. Couldn't believe it. They used them on Israel. But yeah, crazy. Lasers are now, we could put the drones out of business. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's wait a minute. If you got a defense...
So the funny thing of everything you just described reminds me of a very specific, one of my most beloved movies from the 80s, Real Genius with Val Kilmer. Covers all of that. It is literally about how they called it Pacific Tech, and it's based on Caltech, or I have that backwards. I can't remember which. But it's about, like, on the West Coast, there's Caltech, which is basically the West Coast version of MIT. And those two schools have a competition rivalry. But that version in California, in the 80s movie, the description is the military hires one of their professors who gets his students to develop his military laser.
In the 80s? This is an 80s film?
1985.
Oh, wow.
And it's an amazing movie, which I've recently seen in 4K. My roommate bought it in 4K, and oh my God, is it beautiful to look at. And they finally did full Dolby Atmos sound. It's a phenomenal movie that everything you just described is something from this movie from 40 years ago this summer.
Well, the other thing that gets me, go back even further. So I can't remember when War of the Worlds was out. Were there any lasers in War of the Worlds? I'm not sure.
Kind of. They had ray beams that you could consider a laser.
Yeah. So
but it was before they had the term laser.
You know, think about all those low effects of those saucer UFOs and that or the video game. What's our one of the famous Galaxica battles? Galaga. Love that game.
Love that game, Galaga. Galaga is just such a. It's that whole thing of the one shot. But yeah, the thing is a real genius. They talked about the whole thing was like the 40 kilowatt laser, almost the verbatim what you said.
Are you kidding?
They actually, the whole point was the students had to develop a 40 kilowatt laser by the end of the semester or they wouldn't graduate. So it's like for a military application, which is what they promised to deliver. So everything you just described is exactly that. So it's just really fascinating. If you've never seen the movie, it is a must-see movie.
Val Kilmer, so
it's one of his best things he ever did.
No kidding.
By far. It's my personal favorite Val Kilmer performance ever.
How far along was he in his career?
Very early.
Huh.
He's playing a 22-year-old college student, so he was pretty young. It's pre-Top Gun.
Jeez.
And and he's hilarious. Most people don't realize how funny he was. He did comedies. He did Top Secret the same year, or the year earlier. Top Secret was from the makers of Airplane and the Naked Gun movies. They did a movie called Top Secret with him, which was his first major film.
Did you hear that there's going to be another Naked Gun? And
yes, I did.
Who's playing the part?
Liam Neeson.
I can't believe it.
I can because
I can't.
Here's what's funny is the perspective I had as a kid when I saw movies like Airplane and Top Secret and stuff like that is I didn't know who all these old stars were, like Naked Gun. It's like I didn't realize Leslie Nielsen was actually a dramatic actor.
Was he really?
If they re-released the movie Forbidden Planet today and called it a comedy, everybody in my generation would believe it because we don't remember him as the dramatic actor. So when he did this very serious space movie that took itself seriously, when you look at it today, it's ridiculous. You could sell it as a comedy today, give it an all-new title, and no one would know that it wasn't a spoof, like that they de-aged him and made a spoof, except for people over 60 that would remember, people like late 60s, early 70s, they would absolutely know, oh my God, I remember this is a drama. You can't laugh at this. It's like, no, it's a joke, right? It's a joke.
Well, yeah, I got one, since we mentioned it, Leslie Nielsen, I actually got to work with him. We did a commercial, Ohio lottery commercial up in Cleveland with Leslie Nielsen.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It on film, and he was a blast. I mean, he was just a great person, And of course, you kind of expected it because you think of Airplane, and you just think that he's like that. I mean, he's really
total sweetheart.
Yeah. But,
it's shocking how some people you expect to be nice aren't, and some people who you don't expect to be nice are.
Well, I got one for you.
Hit me.
Peyton Manning.
How'd you feel about him? Not so nice?
I don't like him anymore.
Because he wasn't so nice?
Yeah, he wasn't nice at all. I was really disappointed. No, he might have been having a bad day.
You didn't ever know. But I know that my father had once met, and this is over 25 years ago, he met Harrison Ford, who was not at all nice.
Did he really?
Yeah, said he was honest. Now, my understanding with Harrison Ford of the last 10 years has really mellowed out.
That's what I've heard too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of that mellowing out is medicated through excessive marijuana use, but it seems to have made him a much nicer person.
Yeah.
He seems a lot nicer now.
Well, he was, I can't remember. So they were over at Rickenbacker filming for that.
Air Force One?
Air Force One.
I know, I worked on it.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Yeah, so he was here for a while for that, but that's all. That's a good movie.
I didn't meet him at all when I was there. I was an extra, and I didn't.
No kidding.
I was an extra on Air Force One in '97. That was fun, and I worked as a PA on traffic down at the State House. But I never put those on my resume because I didn't make the credits in either one. Yeah. So whatever.
Because there's always you're always so close to something, and when we're in this business, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Hey,
did I ever tell you my Steven Seagal story?
No, let's hear it.
Oh, so before I became a filmmaker, I was writing screenplays in the late 90s.
Okay.
And this is at the dawn of the internet and email. So nobody knew that you could cheat pretty easily. So what would happen is I would make a fake name, and I had that magazine called Daily Variety, and they had the listing of events. And then there's this thing you could buy called the Hollywood Creative Directory.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Which used to have everybody's email address and phone number. And you could cheat because Paramount wouldn't list their email addresses, but if they had a deal with someone, it would say how their name was. Like it would be J.Riva at Paramount. Then you now know it's the first initial dot last name. So even though Paramount is so you get everybody's email address from this if you just were a little bit intuitive. So I made up a fake email account that was .uk2 or something like that. So it looked like it was from England. And I used the name Steve Gadd, which is the name of the drummer from Journey. Oh. So it sounds familiar, but you can't place it. And I would send emails to studio execs going, it was nice seeing you look at the Daily Variety, at the restaurant on Hollywood and Vine. And I was like, it was nice to see you at Hollywood and Vine, and it was great talking to you. By the way, there's this kid in Ohio has this really good script you should request.
Are you serious? Is that what you did?
And I got solicitations from doing that. And one of the people I broke through to was Steven Seagal. I had a World War II script for a B-17 bomber. It was all based on the fact that I was fascinated with the fact that at Wright-Patt Air Force Base, right next to the B-17, which I'm obsessed with, most people don't realize there were fighter jets from Nazi Germany in World War II. Most people don't know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was later in the war.
But nobody thinks fighter jets in World War II. Yeah. So I wrote a script to be kind of like that kind of Guns and Navarone feel, like a throwback feel.
Okay.
Instead of being a more gritty, realistic, it was more fun, which was kind of getting missing. Steven Seagal, I get home from work working as a broker. There's a message on my answering machine from Steven Seagal saying he's interested in optioning my screenplay.
Did he actually call?
He called and left the message himself.
Steven Seagal.
And
he was a big dog for a long time.
But here's where idiot me had no idea how idiotic this move was. We had 2 development calls and never had another call again. So they gave me $1,200 to option the screenplay. And option is like buying dibs, meaning they're not buying it. Yeah. But you're buying the right that you can't sell to anybody else for 1 year or 2 years. In this case, it was 1 year. Okay. So $1,200 for 1 year. And that was awesome. Yeah. I mean, just to get a check from Seagal Nasso Films, the company that he formed, it was like, that's awesome. The development calls were, you know how you have this whole thing about the team? Yeah. That's kind of the point. Is like the crew works like a well-oiled machine. They all work together. He's like, yeah, maybe you should focus more on just the captain and make it more about him.
Oh, they were giving you tips on the...
They were telling me what to do, and I was too stupid to realize what they were saying.
Yeah. If you would have honed it in like they wanted...
They would have made the movie. But because I had artistic integrity... it's about the group. It's about the group. And they're like, okay. Yeah. And then I stopped getting phone calls and emails back. So it was a complete idiotic move on my part, but I had that brush with fame.
I think all of us at our younger ages don't realize some of the opportunities that we get, and then we just ignore them because we just don't realize how valuable they really are at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like looking back on it, it's like that was so dumb of me because which would you rather have? The greatest script in the world no one will ever see or read and never get made? Or a great script that gets ruined but made into a movie that made money and you get another job?
Yeah, you're going to get another job for sure. Yeah. Well, I think I'll take option 2.
And I didn't realize it at the time. I was too naive about that industry to understand that.
I've had numerous situations of certain things that I didn't do in the video business, that offers that I had that I just, was too arrogant or too stupid or too whatever that I didn't take. And, they were probably life changers, but what are you going to do?
Things happen the way they do because they're supposed to.
I got a couple more I want to throw at you since we're on the topic. So, well, 2 of them. One, I was too young at the time, but teachers, Nick Nolte.
Yeah, 1983, shot in Columbus downtown at the old Central High School that's now COSAC.
That's right. I had friends that worked on that. They said, and there was another star in that.
Ralph Macchio, Judd Hirsch, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman's, well, I got lots of stories then. But then the other one, this one I was on briefly, just as a day player, was Stallone. He was at the prison in...
Mansfield?
No, not Mansfield.
I don't remember him being in Mansfield.
No, they shot... oh, man. What's the name of that town? As you're heading towards Toledo.
Finley?
No, not Finley. Keep coming further south.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway.
Dayton. That's all I can think.
Yeah. Anyway, what was funny was I couldn't wait to see Stallone. And my job, I was out in the yard where they had all the extras, and Stallone's going to come out into the yard. And we're just, you're usually just off frame a little bit, waiting to bring an apple box in or something. I'm just a grip. And here comes Stallone. And I was like, couldn't believe it.
How short he was?
Yes.
I had that experience at the Arnold. I worked for the Arnold Film Festival, the Arnold Classic Film Festival at the.
Oh, the film. They had a film festival.
They had a film festival for a few years, and when Stallone came one year and I walked by him, I was like, oh my God. Like, I could not believe how much taller I was than Rocky.
Oh.
He
carries himself so well. I mean,
and the other thing is, that's another guy that over time has mellowed dramatically.
Well, I think to an extent. I think he's still pretty.
He's pretty confident.
Well, yeah.
Let's be generous.
He's still moving Hollywood around.
Yes, he is. I mean, but as a person to interact with, I think he's mellowed quite a bit over the years. He used to be, like, by the end of the 80s and through all the 90s, supposedly he was really difficult to spend any time with.
I couldn't imagine when at the height of Rocky, this guy, he had it all.
Yeah, he could do anything.
Yeah.
When you had a combination of Rocky movies and Rambo, and then virtually everything he was doing turned into a hit for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Same with Schwarzenegger and Harrison Ford. But when the 90s ended, those guys, their stock plummeted when they weren't bringing in the money like they used to. And then they started doing the expendable movies.
Well, stuff they could control, scripts that he made. Of course, he did write a lot of things, I think.
He wrote and directed. And that's the interesting thing is, like the first Rocky was directed by someone else. I think John Avildsen. I don't know how to say his last name, but he would later do the Karate Kid.
Oh, is that right?
But Stallone directed Rocky 2, 3, 4. I've still never seen 5 or 6.
Yeah, I've seen them, but they're faint memories.
I don't. But I did really love the 3 Creed movies. I was shocked at how much I liked those.
They were good.
The first one was done by that filmmaker who did the Black Panther, and Fruitvale Station was his indie film that he got famous for, and he just did that movie Sinners. Phenomenal young filmmaker, just out of this world talented. I still haven't seen Sinners. It's in 70 millimeter at the Gateway Film Center.
Oh, is it?
So I want to go check that out. I mean, I might go see that tomorrow night I might go see it in 70 mil. Because there is something about seeing something with the actual celluloid. First off, they shot on film, which is rare, and they shot it in 65 millimeter. So it's shot on film. It has a very specific look. Seeing something that was shot on film and then projected on film, there's a certain magic to it because there is something tactile about the physical film print. And when light is pushed through it, as opposed to light creating it from a laser projector or anything else, there's a distinct look and feel that I'm both nostalgic for, but it also is a specific aesthetic. That's not to say better or worse than digital. I'm not afraid of technology.
Yeah.
I remember in 2002, I drove all the way to Cincinnati to see Star Wars Episode 2 in a digital theater because this is supposed to be the future.
You wanted to see what you wanted to have that experience.
They shot digital. Yeah. And they projected digital. I wanted to know what that looked like, and it was way better.
Yeah.
Because it was shot digital when they created film prints. Yeah. It was muddy at times. Yeah. But seeing a digital projection of a digital shot, but was shot with Panavision lenses, Sony bodies, it was just beautiful to look at. And that was, I had to drive all to Cincinnati to see the only digital theater in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, well, now they're all digital.
They're all digital. Yeah. So... And that kind of leads me to something. Did you have something else?
Yeah, I got one more. I got one more story. So, I got hired to go. I was going to do some music video. I think it might have been Godsmack.
Okay.
Big Godsmack video, and I get a phone call. They want to shoot up at the Mansfield prison, right? So, hey, can you go scout? Okay, so I'd never been into Mansfield prison, and I was kind of excited to go up there and scout it out. This is before they had Halloween parties and all the crap they have up there, or tours. This was still a vacant
prison.
So I get up there, and I meet my contact. He goes over. I meet him in the parking lot, the front entrance of Mansfield Prison, and we go over there. He gets the key. He opens his door. He says, "There you go." I was like, "You see, yeah, go in and do what you got to do." I'm like, "You want me to go?" I was like, "Okay." So I stepped in, and I was just taken by awe because I just never been in a prison like this, and it was all dilapidated. But you go right in close to the main cell block. The old cell block that they talk about that was always crowded. But what was cool about it was what I ran into, besides being kind of afraid at times, because, probably people were shanked and killed and whatever else happened in there. So I'm in the main cell block. And I see something like we're just sitting on the ground right there. And it said, "Andy's poop chute." And I was like, wait a minute. So they had shot
Shawshank
Redemption. And they built this tunnel out of foam core and stuff. And then had it all kind of painted and everything. And then all the guys wrote, and they left it there. I don't know how long it had been sitting there. So he crawls through on his escape.
Yep.
And it was laying right there on the main block, like the last thing they ever shot. So I got in there and I crawled through Andy's poop chute. I was like, look at me. Now, I didn't take any pictures of myself or I didn't have any video because I never thought of it, but it was like quite an experience all by myself.
Oh, man. And the greatest thing about that is, so Shawshank Redemption was shot at the Mansfield prison. But what a lot of people don't realize is the majority of the cells were recreated in a warehouse.
Is that right?
6 miles away in Mansfield. Because they didn't have the same level of control and they were not nearly as sanitary. So for the bulk of shoots of cells,
I see.
Other than the wide shots of the cells, when you're in an actual cell, that's shot 6 miles away. It's that same thing we talk about all the time about the magic of cinema is this idea that it's like nobody would even think that they didn't shoot in the actual prison cell when it's like we have more control of lighting and more room to get all the different angles over here
So
because you
true.
can't remove walls in an actual prison. Whereas if you build the cells in a warehouse, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. If you got the money.
If you got the money, which Hollywood tends to have.
I did decide to go up to the second floor of the cells and walked around. And I saw, like, what was the Clint Eastwood movie, Escape from Alcatraz?
Escape from Alcatraz.
Do you know how, like, he cuts the hole in the wall and you got that plumbing and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what they had there. Second floor, the cells were together, you know, one on one side, one on the other. And sure enough, you get outside of it and you walk and then get down to the end and you could tell this is all dilapidated, but there was a way to bust through that cell wall, get into that, and then go down. But where are you going to go? In Mansfield, there was nowhere to go.
Correct.
You know, but some of that stuff is just amazing. I had to experience it because I thought about Escape from Alcatraz while I was in there.
Oh, just so many great places like that around. Just the ability to make movies in Ohio. There are a lot more was shot here than people think. Like the most recent Superman was shot in Cleveland.
Do you think that's going to be any good?
Yes.
I can't tell.
Here's the thing. The first 2 out of 3 trailers looked awful.
I thought so too.
I thought they looked really bad, uninteresting, but I have every ounce of faith in writer-director James Gunn. The guy who did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Yeah. It's like, I don't care about the trailers are. I made promises to the universe that Guardians of the Galaxy would be Marvel's first bomb. 10 minutes in, I leaned over to my friend and I go, I couldn't have been more wrong. 10 minutes in, I was already like, I love this movie. This is so great. Even my dad, who hates sci-fi, loved Guardians of the Galaxy. He was enamored with it. I couldn't believe how much fun he had with the movie. He didn't like any other Marvel movie. He thought Iron Man was okay.
Well, you know,
but this he loved.
I don't even equate that to a Marvel movie. I don't know why, because I think of Marvel. I think of like the Avengers. It just seems like that's all that's in my head. But I love
Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
even the last one.
The last one was really good. But you know the problem is the theme of kind of animal experimentation. I ball up my fists. It's like, I don't enjoy watching that.
I don't either.
I have a real, that was the only mistake you made. It's like, it's gut wrenching, emotional, and powerful. But that animal stuff, the experimentation to create Rocket Raccoon is like white knuckle for me anger.
Did you watch Ted Lasso at all?
One of the greatest television shows ever made.
So I just started season 2. Episode 1.
Okay. Oh, I know exactly.
Well, I had to stop because right away there's a dog.
The way they treated it, though,
I didn't like it.
It's
stop it.
I'm gonna
open a brand new season with a dog happening.
I got to tell you, you got to get past it. Just as Danny Rojas had to get past it. Danny Rojas. I promise you it's worthwhile.
All right. Because then they went to a cartoon character of a dog.
See how sad and he's upset.
And that was it. That's like,
but I'm telling you.
Okay.
Keep going.
All right. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. So
I don't either. Ted Lasso. Here's the thing is, with Ted Lasso, I was so primed to hate this series. I never liked the guy who created it and plays Ted Lasso. I was rooting.
Did he create the show?
He's the guy who stars as Ted Lasso is the creator of the show.
You're kidding.
Head writer and executive producer of the show.
How did he pull all that off?
He was going through a divorce from Olivia Wilde. That was his now ex-wife that he has a couple kids with. There's a lot of autobiography in this for him because they were going through a divorce. It was about the trouble of how do you go through a divorce and you have a kid? And in this case, he had 2 kids. And it was terrible, and he had a lot of trouble with it. And this was how he worked it out.
Wow, because they went for a divorce right away on that show, on season 1. I was like, I was like, well, okay, where's this going? So that's why, huh?
And the whole thing is, it was a parable to his own life and the divorce with Olivia Wilde with their children. and how he tried to reconcile it. And what's funny is like I watched her on House MD. I was rooting for her. I was like, what did this idiot do to ruin it with this phone? And 30 minutes in, first episode, I'm like, what is wrong with her? This guy is a genius. Like I didn't like him on SNL. I didn't think anything he did was funny. And in 30 minutes, I was 100% U-turn and going, this guy is a genius.
Wow.
This is a work of mastery, and it never lets off.
Wow. No. You see, now it makes sense about his character, because I was like, how the heck do you develop a character, that character that he puts on in that show? So now I know, because he wrote it and he directs it. Mm-hmm. So he developed that all on his own.
And the unsung hero is the guy who plays Roy Kent.
Yeah.
Is also, he was a writer on the show who his real life personality is the opposite of Roy Kent. And he did a self-recorded audition, sent it to everybody else and said, if you don't like this, we'll never speak of it again. And they loved it. And he got cast as Roy Kent. And everybody thinks that's what he's like. And he's nothing. He's like the sweetest, most soft-spoken guy. And he's a brilliant writer, because he then went on and became a writer and producer on the show with Jason Seagal called Shrinking with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Also, almost as good as Ted Lasso.
Really?
Almost as good. Both of these shows have a lot of the same people behind them, and just phenomenal, uplifting, powerful, and positive. I mean, that's the biggest thing I got from Ted Lasso was positivity. The fact that it's such an uplifting thing. Now, it came out during the pandemic.
Yeah, I saw it. I couldn't believe how old it was. I was, watching a 5-year, but that's how far behind I am.
But it's so good. And to me, it was life altering to see Ted Lasso, because I just felt that what a positive influence Jason Sudeikis had on so many. And it was like, it was a way just a great positive reminder to try to be a better person. It's like one of my biggest mantras of life over the last 13 years, all stemmed from a dream I had. I had this weird dream that had nothing to do with any of that. And when I woke up, all I remember thinking is, what I got from this dream was be a better man. And I have spent every day trying, and more days than not failing, to be a better person.
Well, that's a tall order.
But it's a lot of work to try to not be all the negative things you've reinforced for most of your life.
Yeah.
And that's the toughest thing. And that's what made Ted Lasso connect with me in such a way, it's like, this is seeing like, if people who've lived that, what a difference it can make, and that people can change.
Well, I mean, it's hard to do in real life. It's hard to be that person, because there's so many negatives pulling at you all the time and bringing you down.
There's that, and there's all the times you can make mistakes.
Yeah.
And how you handle those mistakes.
Yeah. Well,
like the biggest thing about it that I get from it was I had a real hard time with forgiveness. I didn't really believe in forgiveness until Ted Lasso.
Jeez.
Like I didn't believe in true forgiveness. I always believed in like, well, you can let things go, but you can't really forgive. And it's like, no, I really have to let the venom go, or it's not really gone. And that's why I try to stay in a more positive headspace all the time. I mean, that's something you and I over the last few months have really connected on is, man, whenever something negative comes out, the other one will be like, let's just let the negative side go. And it's like, gone. Let's just keep going to the positive. Yeah. And that's what's made this so much more fun. It's been such a relief for me to get away from negativity that can sometimes consume you.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think everybody gets caught up in negativity. Everybody. Yeah. It's everywhere.
And my kind of more obsessive compulsive tendencies would keep me in that place longer than I should be. Yeah. And that's why I've been so grateful that we even do this podcast that really isn't all that defined yet.
No, it's
but
not
at the same time,
it's just it's a venting. It's a exercise of the brain. It's a talk about things that are happening. Talk about things that we know.
It's an exercise of creativity. Yeah. To stretch. We're making something.
Yeah.